So it's now live streaming in YouTube.
Prasenjit, am I audible? Shilajit here.
Yeah, you are completely audible. So just 2 minutes left. It will be
Okay.
4 and we will start the proceedings.
Okay, surely. Prasenjit, there is a gain out there.
Yeah, but my audio
And the
system
audio
is
is very
muted.
Mine?
Coming from someone else's
Hello?
audio.
Actually, we can hear you clearly.
No.
We can hear you clearly.
Yes.
Now it's not coming. But I guess someone's audio is not muted, and from that portion the sound is coming, a booming sound. Yeah. A booming sound is coming from someone else's
Yeah,
audio.
I don't. From
Please
where?
ask the participants in Gmeet to mute their audio once the program is started.
I think all of them are muted except Sudipta is muted and our speaker is unmuted.
So how things are coming, I don't know. I am not stopping it. Okay.
Okay, you just put on the recording, Prasenjit,
Yeah.
and I can start.
So Shilajit, recording is getting started within a few moments. You
Okay.
can start.
Let the recording start.
It is
Please
taking
could you
some
give
time.
a yes call after the recording has started?
Okay. Actually, many participants are trying to enter the system. Actually, many participants are trying to enter the
Yeah.
system. Therefore, it is getting longer
So,
time to
may I
start
start,
the recording.
Prasenjit?
Hello.
Yeah, hello, may I start?
No, recording hasn't started yet. Actually, it is taking a longer time because many participants are trying to join the Gmeet.
It's showing out there.
It's showing it's recording.
getting recorded.
Uh,
It's
Yeah.
showing out.
It's showing it's
That's
recording.
but
It's recording.
in my screen it is still moving.
No,
it's showing it's getting recorded.
Now it started. Okay.
Okay.
So start.
So, very good afternoon to all our distinguished participants from different parts of West Bengal, different parts of India, and also outside India too. Resource person, my fellow colleagues, research scholars, and my dear students who had joined us both in Google Meet and YouTube platform. I, Dr. Shilajit Borua, Assistant Professor of Department of Microbiology and convener of the Research and Guidance Cell, Vijayanagar Jyotish Roy College, welcome you all to the one-day national level e-workshop on awareness program on National Digital Library of India, jointly organized by Department of Library and Internal Quality Assurance Cell in collaboration with National Digital Library, IIT Kharagpur. We have been in a state of standstill for over 3 months, rather 4 months. Now, conventional classroom-based education and knowledge sharing has come to an halt throughout the world. However, we are restarting major activities through various unlock phases. And under the so-called neo-normal situation, knowledge sharing and teaching via digital methodologies have come into forefront. The Ministry of Human Resource Development, MHRD, under its National Mission on Education through Information and Communication Technology, which is NMEICT, has initiated the National Digital Library of India, which is NDLI, a project to develop a framework of a virtual repository of learning resources with a single window search facilities. Filtered and federated searching is employed to facilitate focused searching so that learners can find out the right resources with least effort and in minimum time. NDLI is designed to hold content of any language and provides interface supports for leading vernacular languages. Currently, Hindi, Bengali, and several other languages are available. It is designed to provide support for all academic levels, including researchers and lifelong learners. All disciplines, all popular forms of access devices, and differently abled learners. It is being developed to help students to prepare for entrance and competitive examinations, to enable people to learn and prepare from the best practices from all over the world, and to facilitate researchers to perform interlinked explorations from multiple sources. It is being developed at Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. The National Digital Library of India, NDLI, is a project under the Ministry of Human Resource Development, India. The objective is to collect and collate metadata and provide full text index from several national and international digital libraries, as well as other relevant sources. It is a digital repository counting textbooks, articles, videos, audiobooks, lectures, simulations, fiction, and all other learning media. The NDLI provides free of cost access to many books in English and Indian languages. So there are nearly about 58, it's about million downloadable e-resources. Before moving to the actual session, I would firstly request Dr. Rajyasree Niyogi, Principal Vijayagar Jyotish Roy College, whose constant inspiration has always been the stepping stone for us to carry out such informative webinars, to deliver her welcome address. I welcome Madam to deliver your welcome address.
Thank you, Dr. Borua. I am Dr. Rajyasree Niyogi, Principal, Vijayagar Jyotish Roy College. On behalf of Vijayagar Jyotish Roy College, I would like to welcome all the participants and respectable today's speakers, Ms. Sujata Roy, Chief Operating Officer, NDLI, IIT Kharagpur, and Mr. Anirban Sharma, Chief International Outreach and Communication Officer, NDLI, IIT Kharagpur. We are really grateful to these persons, and especially NDLI, IIT Kharagpur, that they have kindly consented to enrich us, ourselves, and our students about the NDLI, National Digital Library. Actually, in this pandemic situation, we don't have any mindset to study or something like that. So, in this situation, I would like to congratulate our librarian, Mrs. Sudipta Shi, to organize such a very, very interesting webinar just to divert, so that he can divert our mind from this gloomy pandemic situation to the actual situation where we can study, where we can generate, where we can rejuvenate ourselves by studying from National Digital Library. Not only, I think in this perspective, not only it will help us to research, but also it will help us to rejuvenate ourselves by studying, because most of us are involved in this field, that we need to study every day. We need to improve ourselves every day. So what we have forgotten during last 3.5 months, but this webinar definitely remind us that what is our actual task. We are teachers, so actual task is to study, to acquire knowledge, to enrich our students. So in this perspective, the National Digital Library can help us immensely. And we are really grateful to IIT Kharagpur that they are collaborating with us to deliver this meaningful webinar. And once again, I'd like to congratulate Ms. Sudipta Shi, our librarian. She recently joined, but very active to organize such a webinar. And also I'd like to congratulate our team, IQAC team, and especially Dr. Prashanjit Dash, Dr. Shampa Devnath, and Dr. Shilajit Borua. Thank you. And once again, on behalf of Vijayanagar Jyotishraya College, Madam, most welcome virtually to our institution. I have a request to you, if the world becomes as usual what it was before March, so I'd like to invite you, please come to our institution physically. You will be happy to see us, our institution. Thank you very much. Once again, welcome you all. I hope that this webinar will be a great success. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Before going to the formal introduction of our speakers, I have some announcements for our participants. So I would request all of you to please keep your microphone in a mute mode so that it doesn't cause any disturbances during the course of the talk. And secondly, during this session, the feedback link would be provided in the YouTube platform. So please don't worry about the feedback forms. It will be provided, and I would be grateful if the listeners in the YouTube platform, they drop in questions related to the subject, related to our subject, related to the subject of the lectures. It is my greatest pleasure now to welcome our first keynote speaker, Ms. Sujata Roy. Ms. Roy is the Chief Operating Officer of the National Digital Library of India project executed by IIT Kharagpur. Her liaison with all external organizations to familiarize them with the objectives and purpose of NDLI, and guides and works with them to bring them on board as a partner of NDLI. Ms. Roy is an alumnus of IIT Kharagpur and has spent most of her career in the corporate IT sector, working with various private and multinational organizations till she finally retired from IBM as general manager. After retirement, she had been actively involved in IIT alumni activities and is happy to be back to her alma mater through her role in NDLI. So I would like to welcome Ms. Roy to deliver her speech. It's over to you, madam.
Thank you, Dr. Borua, for the introduction. I really feel privileged to be here today, along with my colleague Anirban Sharma, to be talking about National Digital Library of India. So I'm really thankful for this to Vijayanagar Jyotishraya College. And as Dr. Niyogi mentioned, with a special thanks to Sudipta Shi, who had really taken the initiative to set up the session. And so we are here today. My thanks to Dr. Niyogi for making the time to be here at this session, to Dr. Borua and others, and of course, all the participants who made it a point to join the session. I hope you will find the session useful. With this, let me set up my presentation. Can you all see the presentation?
Yes, yes, we can see it now. Yeah.
Okay, good, good. So I think Dr. Borua has already given a very, very good summary of what NDLI is all about. Maybe just to take up some of the points that he mentioned. The National Digital Library of India is actually a project by our Ministry of Human Resource Development of Government of India under its NME ICT mission for developing a virtual repository of learning resources that can be accessed through a single window facility. Obviously, the objective is to allow any learner to find the resource that he or she is looking for with the minimum effort, the shortest time, and at no cost. Okay. And also, it should be applicable to everyone, anyone and everyone. And the project has been assigned to IIT Kharagpur for its execution. But why did we need it at all in DLI? You know, there was an assessment that was carried out by MHRD and FICCI in the year 2014 to determine the physical infrastructure that we might need to educate our younger generation. As you may be knowing, India is privileged to have a large percentage of our population at the young age. And to leverage on this demographic dividend, what can be done? How can we educate them to bring them to a certain level so they are ready to go into the job market? For that, the government of MHRD was doing this assessment. And you know what came out of that assessment? We realized that there were 1 million people who were turning 18 every month. And to meet their educational requirements, the educational divide, India needed 6 universities and 270 colleges every month. So that's a tall order. 6 universities and 270 colleges every month, which is physically just not possible. So it was needed that effective use of digital technology would be needed here to handle the situation. And that's when the National Digital Library of India was thought of, which can provide a disruptive innovation designed to overcome this challenge. So MHRD therefore selected IIT Kharagpur for setting up this library, which will be something of a repository which can be accessed all across India for everyone. Now, there are 2 basic principles on which NDLI has been built up. One is its inclusiveness and the other is openness. Inclusiveness means it should cater to everyone, all kinds of learners, whether it's a school-going student or a college-goer, a researcher, or a lifelong learner. Everybody should be benefited from this. Okay, then it should cover all domains. This is science, engineering, humanities, law, everything. It should have books in all languages. Then people should be able to access it through the different vernaculars of India. And finally, it should be also should be used by even the differently able users. So in a single word, we say it should be all inclusive. And then it needs to be open. The access should be open, free of cost, and at anywhere, even at the remotest corner of India, somebody should be able to access it through a PC or a desktop or a mobile or a laptop or even a tablet. Okay, and even the software is free. It's developed on Linux. We are using DSpace. Both of these are downloadable free from the net. So it's open, it's free, and the idea is to have a quality knowledge resource that can be used by anyone at any time from anywhere. So given this motto, what do we have in NDLI? It's a massive national and international integration of learning resources. One of the largest digital repositories that we know of in the world in terms of its volume. It's a 24/7 open to all digital library. And when we are saying 24/7, we really mean it. Because over the last several years since it has been launched, for 99.99% of the time, it has been up and running. It did not break down at the time of COVID. Even Amphan could not break it down. We have the primary server is in IIT Kharagpur, and then we have a backup at our Salt Lake Center of IIT Kharagpur. So between these two facilities, we have been able to keep it up and running almost round the clock over the last several years. So we can proudly say it's 24/7. It's a single window search browse facility. Okay. What we mean by this is, in fact, this was one of the primary objectives that we talked about at the beginning. If you would like to, let's say, access a research paper from ISI, or maybe you want to look up a write-up by Amurta Sen from Presidency Alumni Association, or maybe you want to visit some of the Jugantar or Amrita Bajar, the old issues from Center for Social Sciences in Calcutta. You, instead of going to 3 different websites, you can simply log into NDLI and you can get access to all of them. So that is the biggest advantage. Through a single window, you can access everything from so many other organizations. It covers diverse academic and cultural heritage. So when we say diverse academic, means all domains. We talk about science, humanities, engineering, law, medicine, management, all of it is on it. But again, let me tell you, we are far from completion. What we see right now maybe is just the tip of the iceberg. We have a long way to go and many more contents to be integrated. Hosts multimedia contents. Okay, so and when we are talking about the contents, it's not just text or articles. We have video, we have audio, image, simulation. So when school students, for example, are looking up, for example, some of the lab experiments that they want to do, they can go through the actual simulation or a video presentation on that. Similarly, everything, so all kinds of learning resources have been used to host the contents on NDLI. Indian language user interface. Okay, this is very important for a country like us in India, where we have a variety of culture, variety of languages. India itself has got 22 official languages and so many dialects. Okay, so given that we wanted each and every person from the remotest village also to access this, we have tried to develop the interface in all the vernaculars. So right now we have it in English plus 10 vernaculars, and we are working on more of these so that people are comfortable and people can use it through a language, through a new interface that they're comfortable with. Facility available for institutes, organizations to disseminate e-contents which are under their exclusive control. Okay, let me explain this a little bit. When we talk about National Digital Library, it's not that we are creating another new library. Okay, we already have plenty of digital libraries, digital contents all around, all over India, and in different pockets. And so creating a new one will be simply reinventing the wheel. So what we have done here is we have integrated all these existing libraries and brought them under a single umbrella so that people can access each of these through a single window. Okay, so it's actually all these institutes, all these organizations who have contributed towards building NDLI. They are our, what we call them, our partners. They are the content partners. So they also get the benefit of their contents, their research materials. being disseminated to a large population through NDLI, and users are also getting benefited by accessing contents from all these sources through a single portal. And then we have then there's this nationally licensed contents, again, can be accessed free through NDLI. While the focus of NDLI is on open and free access, so most of the sources who have contributed their materials, it's free. Now there are some sources with which the government of India has gone into a national licensing policy by which these contents are shared on NDLI, and if somebody accesses these contents by logging into NDLI, they get it free. They can access it free. But if they want to directly access those from the site, they will have to subscribe to it. Some examples of this is the South Asia Archive or Satyajit Ray's, the Satyajit Ray Society. Like, for example, we have Kheror Khata by Satyajit Ray. It's all available under this national licensing, where you can see all the movies that he has made, the drafts, the framework of each of them in his own handwriting. He's drawn even the living room and the bedroom, what the furniture should be like, what the dresses should be like. He has put comments in his own handwriting. It's really a treasure, and I will strongly recommend all of you to go into NDLI after this and visit this Kheror Khata or all other contents from Satyajit Ray Society. Similarly, if you want to look up Mashik Bosumati, Hindu Patrika, Gaur Prabha, you can visit South Asia Archive, and then you can get all of these. So these are just a nutshell of what are some of the features included in NDLI. So in terms of the contents, for example, as I said, we cater to all different kinds of students. For schoolgoers, we have the school books, textbooks of all the boards, West Bengal board, Punjab, Odisha, everybody, all the school text boards, sample questions, model answers, and then also lecture slides, videos, class notes, and so on. Then for researchers, for colleges, universities, we have the faculties, publications. Then we have dissertations and theses for MSc, PhD, Masters, undergraduate from various research projects, books, periodicals, ebooks, and so on and so forth. That will be handy for all researchers and university or college goers. And then we have from institutional and open contributions, where we have different data sets, we have manuscripts. Okay, if you would like to see, for example, something on Jainism, you go into Jainpedia, you will find the manuscripts in the original language all in there. You want to look at photographs and something from some tolls, the manuscripts, many of these are available on NDLI. Okay, metadata, the heart of NDLI. Dr. Borua had mentioned about metadata, and most especially all those who are the library professionals, you would know about it. Let me explain a little bit for this. Metadata is primarily the textual information relating to a content. For example, if we are talking about a book, its metadata would have, let's say, the title of the book, the author or authors of the book, the publisher, date of publication, language in which it has been written, and so on and so forth. So this describes a book. Similarly, there can be different kinds of metadata to explain a manuscript or an audio or a photograph and so on and so forth. And so what we do, what NDLI does is that when we are talking about integrating contents from different institutions, we are not taking the actual contents from them. Okay, the actual contents remain with them. What we take is we just harvest the metadata. We store these metadata in our servers. We index them, and so that whenever there's a search request from a user, it runs them through this index, And whenever there's a match, it will take them back to the original source site. So, number one, the ownership is retained by the source organization. There's no copyright violation. And the user can see that, oh, this has come from ISI, or maybe this has come from Ramakrishna Math, Belur Math, Ramakrishna Mission, Belur Math, or maybe from Bose Institute. So they're aware of the institution where the work has been done. If they have any queries, they can always go back to them, and the institution also gets their contents disseminated or propagated to everyone. So that's why metadata is very, very important to us. How we handle, how we display, how we do the search. It is therefore the basic part of NDLI that constitutes the complete library. So in uniqueness and reach, it's a single window, multilingual search. It covers the entire spectrum of learners, from schoolgoers to lifelong learners, all domains of education, can handle content of any language. Okay, so we can have language. In fact, right now we have more than 300 languages, contents in 300 different languages, which are already on NDLI. Indian language user interface that I mentioned, that you can browse browse through in Hindi, Gujarati, Marathi, Bengali, Bangla, and so on and so forth. Personalization, this is more of a service where you can actually get what you're looking for, customized to your requirements. I'm sure Anirban will be talking more about this, so I will not go further into this. So right now we have 15,000 plus institutes who are with us in terms of sharing, in terms of participating in NDLI. We have a user base of 30 lakhs plus. And this user base, we've seen that it has gone up significantly during the lockdown period for all the right reasons. And we get an average daily hit of about 1 lakh. We have more than 4.8 crores of items on NDLI in more than 300 languages. There are more than 300 sources who have shared their contents with us. And of course, we also have our regular share of recognitions, where we were the winner of the James of Digital India 2019, and we were also the winner of the M Billionth South Asia Award in 2017. Now, as you get into NDLI, and when you try to access any item, you would see one of these signs in front of each of them. So that's why it's important to know what they mean. If you have an open lock like this, which is very, understandable, this means that it's open. Full text is open access without any cost attached. Okay. For example, all the NCERT books. Then some of them would have a sign like this with NDL written on this. These are for our nationally licensed sources that I talked about. So here, if you have logged into NDLI and then trying to access it, you will get the full text access. Otherwise, if you're trying to go directly to the source, you will not get full text access. Then there are some of them which have a limited access, where part of the text is available, but full text will require an authorization by the source authority. Some will have a sign like this, which is subscribed. For example, when you look at Springer publications, if your institute has contributed, has subscribed to Springer, then you will get a full and free access to the Springer publications. But otherwise, you will have to subscribe to Springer to get a full access. And restricted, where full text access requires authorization by the source authority and a separate login to source. Now, the thing is that even if you, like for the restricted ones, you can always look up the metadata for all of them, so that you have a very good idea as to who is the source, what is it all about, what is you get to read the abstract of the item, and then if you feel necessary, you can always access approach the source for a full text access of the item. So this is some of the just some numbers which will show you the percentage of items that we have in the various access with the various access options. So we have both 2.79 crores of items which are simply open and freely accessible, and another 77 lakhs which you can access again open and free by logging into NDLI as an NDLI user. So about more than 3.5 crore resources are open and free, more than 75%. And rest of them, as I said, you may have to get a special permission. You can put in your email ID there, a window will open up, you can put in your email ID, and the source might decide to send you the item directly into your email ID for access. So all these are for educational, because we are trying to promote educational and research activities. This shows some of the interfaces. Right now, this is the English one, and here you can see there's a drop-down menu in here from where you can choose the language of your access, and you can choose Hindi, Bangla, Gujarati, and so on and so forth. Then you get NDLI in Bengali, in Marathi, or in Hindi, and similarly the other vernaculars. So this is the landing page where you arrive at when you are using a web app on your desktop or laptop. And NDLI is also available on mobile, both on iOS and Android. So this is the mobile interface that you see as you log into NDLI on a mobile. Okay. Now, during the lockdown, when the lockdown happened, what we saw is where virtual or online studies was the only mode of education for students, obviously, we saw a huge spike in the usage of NDLI. And then, so we made a special effort to create a few verticals, 3 different verticals that will help students to easily access any content that they're looking for. So right now, so when you get in, you will find one vertical is on study at home. So here we have a button for school or CBSE. This was because CBSE exams were supposed to be held at the beginning of July. So we made a special button for their preparation. Then engineering, science, humanities, literature. So the moment a school student clicks on the school button, he or she will get all the school board books, question papers, JEE advanced papers, JEE sample papers, solved questions, whatever they would need for school preparation or lab simulation, lab experiments, everything from here. And similarly for the other buttons. Then, because of COVID, we developed a new separate and independent vertical on COVID research repository, where we have scholarly publications, more than 40,000 scholarly publications, which are all from peer-reviewed journals, then data sets, documents, videos, ideas and funding. What can be some of the funding sources from where you can, if you are interested, if you want to do further research, who can help, all that information you can get from this vertical. And then there's a third vertical, and this is very interesting, and this is one of my favorites, is the featured collections, where in the first one you would see, for example, we would try to cover some special dignitary of the year. For example, this being the birth centenary year of Satyajit Ray, we have a full tab where you can find anything by him and on him, all documents, all publications on him and by him, you can find through this. On this day, so every day this keeps changing. What had happened on this day so many years ago, you will find that interesting information. Person of the week, maybe some person during this week who has his birthday, maybe during this, for example, Gregor Mendel, he has his birthday on the 22nd of July. He's supposed to be the father of genomics. So you will find all his information, his publications, or publications on him from here. Then something called the topic of the week, International Chess Day, for example, that's the 20th of July, which falls during this week. So you'll get some information on that. So these are some very interesting things that you can look at every day, every week, just for your knowledge sake and for your information sake. And talks and webinars, some of the interesting talks and webinars, not all of them, but some you can find here for your own benefit. So that's an overall glimpse of the NDLI, how it works, what are the main features, and then some of the interesting features, some of the important features and the work and what goes behind it. And this now I will hand over to my colleague Anirban, who will take us through the portal to go to look at some of the ways how we can put it to the best use in terms of searching, browsing, or arriving at any particular item that we are looking at. So with this, I hand it over to Anirban Sharma.
All right. Thank you very much, ma'am. Please allow me a moment to set up my presentation and just share the screen.
Sure.
I think I will need the screen sharing option now.
Oh, yes, sorry. Stop sharing. Yes. Correct. Done.
That's right. Thank you so much. Yes, please just give me a moment.
Sure.
Okay, it seems to just a moment. It seems to be slipping away each time I actually see it on my shared screen.
So may I help you?
Yes, could you?
There's a present button in the right hand.
Yes, I know. I clicked that and then I chose share window.
I think it will be better if you choose the entire screen. There's an option, choose entire screen.
Okay.
No, entire screen will show all of us. You need to select a window.
Yeah, you need to select the window. Entire screen is not the thing you should select. Put the presentation in screen.
Yes,
over
it
that,
is in screen.
Over that, open your Gmeet screen. Go to the present now button.
Yes,
and
I've done
select the window option. And a block will open. There you will see the PPT in a small scale. Select it.
Yes, done. I think I'm sharing now. Is this
now it's getting shared. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for the assistance. And thank you very much, Ms. Roy, for the first part of the presentation. All right. That allows me to take it forward from there. At the very outset, I'd like to thank our host organization, Bijaygarh Jyotish Rai College, and particularly its principal, Dr. Rajeshri Nyogi, and librarian Ms. Shradipta Shi for putting this event together. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and thank you once again for having us. I must put in a special word of thanks to Ms. Shradipta Shi. It's been an absolute pleasure interacting with her over the last week, and it's not very common to find somebody so enterprising and prompt in all her interactions with you. So thank you very much. Now, so far we've learned what the National Digital Library of India is and how it operates. And we also know a little about its contents, its internal infrastructure, and some of its features. My presentation is going to focus entirely on how to actually use the NDLI and how, as users, you can access content that is relevant to your subject and to your area of interest. All right. So this is the NDLI homepage or landing page. And I'm going to run you through the search function in particular in quite some detail. But before that, I'd just like to say a couple of words about the users and contributors, people who actually use the NDLI and also contribute to it. All right. So as my colleague mentioned, the NDLI actually integrates content from a wide range of sources, contributing institutions, and these could be universities, they could be academic and research institutions. They could also include publishers, other digital libraries. And of late, we also have had quite a lot of teachers and professors who are beginning to contribute their individual teaching contents, all right, lecture slides, lecture notes, etc. All of this is integrated in the central NDLI repository, and through that single window, you as users get to use this. All right, so that box in the top left is you. You are the teachers, the learners, the researchers, and the professionals who routinely access the content of the NDLI. And as my colleague mentioned, we actually have more than 30 million users at the moment. So that's, well, rather 30 lakh users, active users. That comes to more than 3 million users. So this screen gives you a snapshot of who some of our current institutional contributors are. Now, one thing to make a note of is the NDLI aggregates content from both Indian and international contributors, all right? Now, these are all very highly rated, globally recognized sources. They're extremely credible. So they're good things to refer to for educational content and research. And you will find that most of India's top universities are represented here. For example, a number of the IITs and the IIMs. And you also have a large number of international contributors, all right? For example, the South Asia Archive, which Ms. Roy referred to several times. You have the OECD Digital Library and well-known publishers like Springer and IEEE Explorer. Also lots of international databases of journals. If you were to break down the content available in the NDLI according to discipline, you would find that we have more than 20 million resources on the fields of computer science, technology, engineering, and related works. All right, so 20 million, that's a large figure. When it comes to the natural sciences and mathematics, we have a little less than 8.5 million contents. And if you were to take the arts, humanities, and social sciences together as a composite group, we have just short of 7.3 million. Now, our host college, of course, does include an arts department and a science department. So I'm sure the natural sciences and the arts and humanities section is going to be of particular interest to you. This gives you an idea of the kinds of resources that we have in our repository. All right, you have articles, meaning journal articles. It could also be newspaper articles. Lots of ebooks. There are reports, technical reports, studies. There are lecture notes, lecture slides. You have the somewhat more specialized documents like law acts, law judgments, etc., technical reports, and you have theses. We, in fact, the Shodh Ganga repository, which many of you may be aware of, which is India's largest collection of dissertations, is also fully accessible through the NDLI. There are also historical and cultural documents and lots of video lectures. So much of this is extremely relevant for students, and they're used pretty regularly. Now I come to the core of my presentation, how to actually access the NDLI, right? When you do a Google search for the National Digital Library of India, the very first result that appears on the top of your screen leads you to our homepage or our landing page, which you're already familiar with now. Let's go through the different components of this page, okay? Right in the center, you have the central search box. This is where you enter the terms that you want to search for. For example, I have entered Rabindranath Tagore, all right? Below that, you have the verticals that my colleague spoke about a few minutes ago. These are new tabs which were introduced during the COVID period to enable students to study from home, to allow researchers to, well, look for solutions and research articles related to COVID-19 itself. And of course, there are the featured collections. I'm going to come back to some aspects of study at home a little later in my presentation. On the top right, you have the different languages in which you can access the NDLI interface. Now, this entire interface is viewable in English and 10 other Indian languages. These 10 languages were chosen because they're actually the most widely used Indian languages. And on the extreme right, at the top, well, that's my name there. That's because I'm a registered user and I've logged in. When you log in, your name appears on the top right of the screen. And that, in fact, is the point with which I'm going to begin, how to log in and register yourselves. Now, strictly speaking, registration is not necessary. You can actually look at a lot of contents and access them even without being a registered user. But it is actually highly recommended that you register yourself, because then there are quite a few additional benefits, and there are a number of collections which would not have been accessible to you otherwise, which you can look at if you are a registered user. For example, that entire large bundle of nationally licensed contents, which my colleague spoke about, is accessible only if you are a registered user, right? So it probably is a good idea to log in and register yourself after all. How do you do that? On the top right of the homepage, you find a login button, which I have outlined in red here. When you click on that, you will find a little screen like this, where essentially all you have to do is enter your email address and create a password, and then click on register. So really, the registration process is extremely simple, and anyone who has an email address can register and start using the website. When you click on register, you're going to be led to a registration form, which looks like this. And as you can see, the details asked for are extremely basic. It's just your full name, your email address, a password, your date of birth, and your state and city. That's pretty much it. And once you do that, you receive an email with an activation link. And when you click on that link, you are then a registered user, right? And you can log in each time you use the NDLI. Now, let's begin with the search process itself. On the home page, which I showed you a moment ago, you enter your search term in the central search box, all right? When you enter, let's say Tagore, for example, this is how your search results are going to be displayed in rows like this. So you can see a number of publications. These are all works related to Tagore. As you can see from the numbers, Tagore has generated 3,278 search results. So it's quite a lot of content on him. Now, what's important is how to filter your search and make it more and more focused, right? So on the left of your screen, you have one set of filters, which is each of these green tabs, and I've outlined one of them in red. So you have different filters for access restriction, author, subject category, educational degree, difficulty level, file format, learning resource type, and so on. And I'm going to come to each of those in a minute. And on the right of your screen, you have a different set of filters. These are filters by content type, right? So you can choose the type of content that you want to look at. Do you want to look at text? Do you want to look at books? Or do you want an audio file? Do you want an audio book or an audio recording? Do you want videos about Tagore, etc.? So this allows you to filter your search by content type, right? Now, if we were to click on access restriction, which I have done here, you find all the access options that my colleague mentioned a short while earlier, right? You have the open access contents, you have the ones which are nationally licensed, and you have the other ones which are, well, limited access or for which you need a paid subscription. As a rule of thumb, of course, it's best to always stick the first two, the open access contents and the NDLI contents, because those are the ones to which you have full, free, and open access at all times, right? So those are the two that I've ticked, and that's something you should do when you use the library yourself. Let's move on to our next filter. Our next filter is author. Now, do note that when I searched for Tagore. I didn't search for Rabindranath Tagore, right? So you have a number of other members of Tagore's family whose works are also listed here. And you also have authors who have written about Tagore, right? So you can see those are all listed under author here. So you need to check the box that, check the author that you're actually looking for. In this case, it is Rabindranath Tagore that I wanted to search for. So I've checked that box, right? Immediately, you get works related only to, works by Rabindranath Tagore and about him. If you look at the icon of every work, you see that there is an open lock or an NDLI logo beside each of them. That means that, well, your access restriction, of course, is working. It means that you are looking only at those which are open access contents and those which are nationally licensed contents. Let's move on. Now here I've entered a different search term. I was looking for the history of English literature, right? If you were to search by subject category, I mean, it is logical to make your search terms here language and literature and rhetoric, right? So those are the choices offered, and those are the boxes I've ticked. And then immediately, once again, you get a list of search results here. This is what you get to look at. Similarly, moving down to our next filter, which is education level, we did a search for construction techniques. Education level actually refers to the difficulty level, all right? Are you looking for school level content, or are you looking for UG and PG level content, or something related to adult education or professional education? So once again, those checkboxes are mentioned here. And I wanted UG and PG level content on construction techniques, so that was what I checked. And once again, this is the list generated. I haven't gone into the next two in detail, which was learning resource type and file format. But just to tell you broadly what those are, learning resources refer to the specific type of resource you're looking for. Okay, is it a book, a periodical, an audio book, article, newspaper, case study, etc.? So once again, if you were to click on learning resource type, you would get a list of checkboxes like that, and you would tick whether you're looking for a book or an audio book or whatever, and you will get your a list of search results accordingly. Similarly, there is an option for file format. You can actually search by file format also. Are you looking for PDF documents? Are you looking for HTML documents, audio files in the form of MP3s or MP4s, JPEGs of images, etc.? I've gone straight to the last filter, which is source. Now, when you click on source, the NDLI is going to list for you, again in that checkbox format, all the different institutions and organizations from which contents are available on the subject that you have searched for. In this case, I had searched for biochemistry, all right? Many different sources were displayed here, but I chose InflibNet Shodhganga, which is India's national repository for student dissertations and theses, okay? I was looking for theses in particular, which is why I chose Shodhganga. And as you can see, all the search results displayed are contents from Shodhganga itself. Right. Now, our next kind of search, I mean, you can also research your search, refine your search, sorry, by using the filter on the right side of your screen, which is the content type. Okay. So I did a search for sociology. And then I wanted not books and audiobooks, but I wanted videos. I wanted video lectures. I wanted other kinds of animated videos on the subject of sociology. So from the right, under content type, I chose video. And then your search results are entirely videos available within NDLI. And as you can see, even among videos, there are quite a lot of them. On sociology, we have close to 500 videos available. What's important, and this is how you can make your search more and more focused and sort of catered more to your particular need. It's important that you learn to search in combination, all right? You can, of course, make your search as broad as possible simply by choosing NDLI and nationally licensed contexts under access restriction. But the idea is if you were to combine that, your access restriction with, let's say, subject category, and also source, you get a much more focused list of search results, right? So here, for example, we have search for artificial intelligence. Under subject category, of course, I chose options like technology and computer science. Under source, I chose MIT's OpenCourseWare. So I don't want other search results related to other institutions. I only want what MIT has on artificial intelligence, all of which again is available through the NDLI, right? So this is a way of narrowing your search further. A second possible combination, and of course there are many different combinations which you can use here, is to combine access restriction with content type, all right? So if I were to choose the open access contents and the nationally licensed context, and on the right side, I choose video, once again, I will get all the available videos on human physiology that the NDLI has in its contents, right? So that, in a nutshell, is how you use the different filters to narrow and focus your search. And it's a very powerful tool. I'm going to say a little more about that later. As I mentioned earlier, the homepage also includes the Study at Home tab, right? And these are specially curated collections. These are collections that have been very specially put together, particularly to enable students to study at home, study from home during the COVID crisis, right? So we have different sections for school level education. There were students preparing for the CBSE board exams, right? So we created a whole section called the CBSE examination preparatory. And for the UG and PG level, we have divided learning contents into these disciplines: engineering, science, humanities, literature, law and management, etc. Now, I'm going to look at science and humanities in particular because these are both departments included within Bijayag or Jyotish Rai College, right? Our hosts. So let's look at each of these in detail. If you were to click on that science tab, what you're going to get is a list of subjects, actual subjects under the science, right? So you have agriculture, you have mathematics, environmental science, nanotechnology, physics, chemistry, biology, etc. And if you were to click on each of these tabs, you would find a lot of books, notes, videos, lecture notes, all kinds of things uh, belonging to both the UG and PG levels, right? So those of you studying in undergraduate and postgraduate colleges could actually make very good use of these collections. And these collections, mind you, have been made available keeping in mind the different syllabi and curricula of the time, keeping in mind different public examinations and university examinations. So these are very focused and targeted collections and very useful for students. The same applies to the humanities and social sciences tab. All right, if you were to click on the humanities tab, you would find a vast range of lectures, videos, books, notes on these subjects: history, geography, sociology, literature, political science, education. And I know that our host college also has media and communications, or mass communications is one of their subjects. That is also available. A little lower in the page, it doesn't show up in my screenshot here. So once again, very relevant material for you to study at home at a time when your actual physical libraries are not accessible to you, or you cannot go and photocopy notes. This is how you need to study from home. Now, I did recommend logging in earlier, but of course, there may be situations where you have forgotten to log in, or you may not have logged in and you were searching for content. In case you want to click on a search result, a particular book or video, and you get this message, which tells you that you actually need to log in to view this content, that's no problem at all. You can log in even at this stage. So once you get this message saying login, click on it. And once again, you're going to be redirected to that page I had showed you right at the beginning, which allows you to log in and register yourselves, right? So accessing content, even at this late stage, is not a problem. So let's just briefly recapitulate all the different filters we've looked at, okay? This refers to the filters which we looked at on the left side of our screen. We have filters by access restriction, author, subject category, educational degree, difficulty level, language, learning, and resource type. You've looked at all these. And on the right side of the screen, we had the second set of filters, which was filters by content type, where you can filter whether you want to look at text, presentations, audio, video, images, data sets, or animations, right? That covers the search function. Of course, you need to experiment with it yourself to get a better sense of how it works. As my colleague already mentioned, the NDLI, of course, is a website, but it's also available as a mobile app. And the mobile app allows you all the same functionalities that the website has. So all these different search filters, tabs, etc., are available on the app as well. The app itself is available on the Android, on the Google Play Store or on the Apple Play Store, and also through Oman. So you can download this and access content from your phone anytime you want. This is what the interface looks like on your mobile phone. Of course, it looks a little different, but the functions are all exactly the same, right? So this again is something you need to download and experiment with. Now, how is NDLI different from Google? Because of course, in principle, it does seem like a search engine also at times, right? Based on what I've just told you. And it might sound presumptuous to even have a slide like this called Google versus NDLI. Of course, this is not to imply at all that the two are in competition in any way. Of course, we are not. But when you're searching for educational content in particular, the NDLI does in fact offer you certain advantages. All right. To begin with, it gives you very targeted, curated educational content. So if you were to do a search on Google, you would get thousands of random results. But the NDLI, on the other hand, actually presents very specific data and results from premium content sources, right? So it's not a smattering of different sources. It's actually very highly rated sources that you get content from when you're looking through the NDLI. The filter options, of course, are another major advantage. You can narrow your results down using the filter options in quite a big way. And very importantly, one thing that Google does not allow you to do is to use filters based on content type, all right? But the NDLI actually allows you to look for video specifically or text specifically, or audio files differently if you want. Finally, of course, the concept of national licensing is quite unique to the NDLI. These contents are normally paid. If you were to access them from their source websites, you probably wouldn't be able to, because these have to be subscribed for and paid for. But through the NDLI, you get to access it completely free. And of course, this feature does not apply to Google at all, right? So there are certain clear advantages in using the NDLI platform when you're looking for educational research content in particular. My last point has to do with bulk registration for the National Digital Library. Now, of course, I talked about individual registrations and logins at several points, but you might want your entire institute to apply to subscribe to the NDLI, right? If you're a college librarian or a college principal, you might want the NDLI to become routinely available to all your students as a content source. How do you do this? For this, of course, we would like the librarian to act as the nodal person. And the librarian or the nodal person then sends a list of all the users of the institute, all the students, faculty members, etc., their email ID, their first name and last name in a CSV file. And I'm going to show you a sample of this. You need to send it to this email address. You will get an automated link very soon. Once you click on the link in your email, you get to complete your registration, after which you are a registered user. Right. That is the bulk registration process. This is the list that your librarian needs to send to the NDLI. Okay, it's a spreadsheet basically where you enter your email address, the first and surnames of every person who needs to be registered. Once this bulk list is sent to the NDLI, we are going to send you those customized emails, which you then use for activation. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. So thank you very much. I'd just like to conclude by saying that, of course, we are going to make these presentations available to you, all of you who have attended this session, so you can look through it at leisure and, well, get better acquainted with all the functions that we discussed. And for those of you who are from other colleges, other institutions, not just Bijaygarh College, if you are interested in a similar session being run for your college, for your students to become familiar with the NDLI, do write to us. Our email addresses were there on the very first slide of my colleague's presentation. And we could certainly consider, we'd be happy to consider trying to organize a similar session for you. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for this wonderful and robustly informative informations. It has been our participants in YouTube are showering with comments about they are very helpful. This seminar has been very helpful to them. Though there are certain questions from our participants, I would read one by one all of them. The first question comes from Rinita Bhaduri. She asks that, ma'am, could you tell us how to get access to this NDLI? I think sir has already explained that. Hello? Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear.
Sir has already explained that how it's... the next question, what are the ACS and RSC journals available in NDL. The SCS and RSC journals are whether they are available in NDL. Mr. Kartik Gupta, he's asking about this. Okay. Now, sir, would you answer them one by one, or I'll?
Okay, ma'am, would you like to take that one about the journals?
Yeah. See, the specific, the ones that are on NDLI, those are actually shared by the publishers or the journals. Now, some of the journals which are on a commercial mode, obviously for the right reason, they are not available on NDLI. So there are several of them who have shared their free access in here. The two that you have just mentioned, I really have to look up on this. Most probably they are not in there.
Okay. The same Mr. Kartik Gupta is also asking that do we get world bestsellers in NDL?
Do we get, sorry, once again, please?
Worldwide
bestsellers.
Bestsellers. Yeah. Bestsellers in NDL.
Worldwide bestsellers. Okay.
Again, the worldwide bestsellers, these are again all commercial ones, right? They are on Amazon, they're available on in bookstores. So this is something you have to remember. We cannot cross that path, and we cannot put up these books which are on a commercially available. We cannot put them up on NDLI. Because they are all copyrighted by the publishers, and if you do that, there will be a violation of copyright. So only copyright-free ones where the publishers have actually shared them with us, they are the ones which are available on NDLI. Animan, would you like to add to that?
No, that sums it up. I mean, I would just add that, of course, you have lots of popular bestsellers from an earlier time, all right, which are commonly known as classics. These, of course, are out of copyright, contemporary commercial bestsellers on NDLI, right? So, yes, we can move on to the next question.
Yeah. The next question is from Mr. Parthasarathi Choudhury. He's, according to him, I have got an account to NDLI, but how can I get access to Bengali old newspapers like Doinik Bosumati or others? So he's asking about.
Okay, Doinik Bosumati, you got into South Asia Archive. You will get there, not Doinik, there's Mashik Bosumati in there, there's Gaur Prabha, there's Hindu Patrika. The daily ones are not available. Similarly, if you want to get into the old daily versions of Amrita Bajar, Jugantor, those you can get in Center for Studies in Social Sciences, Kolkata, CSSC. So best thing is he just needs to search by that item name, and it will take them to the right source where it is available.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. The next question is from Ms. Tanushree De. She's asking, is NDL free for students in pandemic situation?
NDLI is free for everyone,
absolutely.
everywhere, not only students, and anytime, pandemic, non-pandemic. That is the basic idea, to let people carry on with their studies from anywhere, anytime.
Both of us did talk in some detail about the study at home tab, right? I mean, the whole purpose behind that service, which is a relatively new service, is to allow people to access all this content for free and study from home. And, for those participants who have joined us from outside India, all of this is accessible to you anywhere that you might be in the world, all right? So, I mean, we did hear that there were some participants from certain African countries, for example. All of this is readily available to you as well. So the NDLI is an open platform. It's accessible to all. So.
Thank you, sir. The next question goes from Mr. A. Pine. He asks, it is possible to access journals like American Economic Review, Economica from National Digital Library websites?
Well, yes. I mean, you can. I don't know about these two journals in particular, but the like we both mentioned. I mean, the NDLI does offer you access to a lot of international journals, a lot of open access journals and others. So you would just need to search the platform, all right? Do a search for the particular journal that you're looking for and see if it's available.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Ma'am, would you just anything to be added?
No, I think that's absolutely fine.
Yeah,
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Tonoshrite is asking that there are so many digital libraries. How is NDLI different from them?
Anirban, I think Anirban has covered it very well. That Anirban, you want to take it?
No, I think you. Why don't you begin? I can perhaps add to it if you like.
Yeah, okay. So number one, he has given one example of how is NDLI different from Google. Okay. Similarly, I mean, I guess it applies to all other libraries as well. And now this is, I mean, anything that has to do with knowledge, education. Okay, that will go into NDLI. You should not, for example, in Google, I know we can search for anything, something to do with a movie, who was actor or actress for a movie. Those kind of elements are not available in India, in NDLI. But educational knowledge, research for all this, these materials will be here. And the difference here is you get them, you have access to so many materials from so many different academic institutions through a single portal. That is the biggest advantage. You go into Digital Library of India, DLI, or any other, you will get materials only that are held by them, that are developed by them. But here, through a single window, you have access to materials from 300, 400 institutions and their research publications. Plus, what Anirban has mentioned, that you can, it is not just a repository that we are providing, it's more of a service, in the sense that first you can decide on the level that you're looking for. Are you looking for a class 9 to 10? If you're looking for electricity, it's taught in class 4, it's taught in class 10, it is taught in the undergraduate level. So you can choose, okay, you want at the undergraduate level in this language, in text or video. Difficulty level could be simple, medium, complex. So with all this, you really get a customized delivery on your screen. That is the biggest advantage of NDLI.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
If I might just add one minor point to that. Okay. Shall I just add a minor point?
Sure.
You see, there are a lot of national libraries in the world which offer a digital service among its other more conventional services, all right? So even the National Library of India, for example, has a small e-library section among everything else it does. But it's actually relatively rare to have a national digital library of a country as a standalone entity. All right, so that alone is something you need to sort of keep in mind. And there again, do consider the range of materials you have access to here. We are covering education at all levels. Digital libraries tend to be a little more focused, all right? I mean, leading American universities have digital libraries. You have certain digital libraries which focus completely on cultural heritage, for example, like Europeana, which is a European digital library, looks only at cultural heritage. But in the larger context, it is relatively somewhat rare to have an entity like the National Digital Library of India, which is both a national entity and looks at education at all levels. All right, so that is one major respect in which this is somewhat different from other existing digital libraries.
Thank you, sir. The next question goes from Ms. Sanjita Sen. She's asking, it is possible to access Indian statistics through NDLI. Can these data be accessed free by students? This is important because students may not be able to afford subscription. So whether it is free for the students, she's asking.
Indian statistics.
Indian statistics, yeah.
Well, yes. I mean, is she referring to data sets, basically? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, she's saying that can these data be accessed free by students? Means the statistical data of
yes. I mean, There are certain data sets, yes, definitely, which are available as open access on NDLI. So, I mean, it really depends on your search terms and what you are searching for specifically. You have to try out a search and see if it is available or not. But yes, the NDLI does include a lot of statistical data and data sets.
Okay. The next question goes from Mr. Obhijit Bhattacharya. He's asking that how much cost is required for digitalization of a library?
Okay, that's a big question.
This really depends, number one, on the volume that you have. And okay, number one, when you're talking about digitization of library, means are you saying all the hard copy books that you have, physical books, are you looking at scanning and digitizing those?
He has not made clear. Probably both of them, means doing that and accessing all the NDLI also. I think it's a big issue.
Accessing NDLI?
Yeah, both of them.
No, accessing NDLI doesn't have any cost.
Cost,
Okay.
yeah.
And
yeah, that's completely open.
And when we are talking about integrating your materials, anybody's contributions, we are generally talking about the creations or the original publications of a particular school or college. We are not talking about library books. You can't scan them and put them up on NDLI, because that will be straight away a copyright violation. So I don't know. I mean, when he's talking about digitizing a library, I'm really not sure what he means.
Okay. So better. I think our viewer must contact you directly regarding on this.
Sure. Anytime. Yeah. We can
yes,
sit offline and discuss.
Absolutely.
So Tintin Mukherjee is asking whether how can students of ISC board get benefited from NDLI?
See, there are school books, all NCERT books are there on NDLI. So along with that, there are labs. Then there are certain sites which help them. For example, STEM EZ. Then there's Exam Fear, which actually solves the various problems that are there in the textbooks. They will show how to solve it and all that. So all of this together will help ICSE or CBSE, anybody, all board students.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question goes from Mr. Hamid Iqbal. He's asking that is there any initiative taken by Government of India to digitize rare books in good digital format?
See, there are certain organizations, for example, the Indira Gandhi Institute they do these kinds of things. They archive rare books and store them. So yes, there are initiatives that Government of India is taking to retain our rare books and our heritage collections. Would you like to add to that, Anirban?
No, yes, you're absolutely right. You know, there is no single repository where all Indian cultural heritage material can be found together, but there are lots of different institutions across the country doing this kind of work. All right. Of course, the Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts, IGNCA in Delhi, is a major one. But even the National Archives of India has done a lot of digitization work. And very recently, for example, they made the entire Netaji paper collection, the collection of Netaji-related papers available in digitized form. Similarly, there are lots of universities which have very good digitization programs attached to them. And, the NDLI itself is doing some digitization work in collaboration with some of these institutions, but it's not yet all in one place in the way that you're asking.
Thank you, sir. So the next question goes from Dr. Amit Mojumdar. He's asking that Are you planning for including corporate databases, which will be really helpful for researchers?
I mean, it all depends on number one, will the corporates, are they ready to share their databases? Okay, because obviously, you know, there's a lot of confidentiality, exclusivity of the work that they are doing in research. So yes, if anybody is ready to share the database, NDLI will be more than happy to integrate those on the platform. Right now, we are not really looking at that at the moment.
Thank you, ma'am. So the next question goes from Mr. Hamid Iqbal. He's asking, as a researcher of social science, we need newspaper clippings for our research purpose. So there is a need for a separate repository for paper clippings. What are your views in this regard?
Yeah, so the source on Center for Studies in Social Sciences, Kolkata, CSSC, that will be a source that they can use where they can find a lot of these newspaper clippings, Amritabajar, Jugantor, then Mukti Potrika, and many more to come. That's one area where that they can benefit it from it. Another one would be South Asia Archive. There also they'll get a lot of our old stuff, old rare books, rare newspapers, cuttings or clippings that they need. They can find it from there. These are two sources that I can think of offhand, where you can get old newspaper cuttings and clippings, rare ones.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. The next question goes from Mr. Monod Choudhury. He's asking, sir, I just want to know, can we access DVD data, audiovisuals, videos through digital library?
Well, yes, there are a lot of videos and audio material and video material, but I'm not sure what is meant by DVD material. All right, but yes, I mean, of course, like I mentioned, you can actually filter your search by video or by audio, so you will have access to a lot of videos of different kinds, audio books, audio recordings, all kinds of things. Yes.
Okay.
I also did talk about filtering your search by the file type. So if you were to search by MP3s or MP4s, of course you will. That's another way of identifying a lot of the sound and visual files that we have in our archives.
Thank you, sir. The next question goes from Mr. Nilanjan Shaha. He's asking that are the contents are copyright proof, so that they can use audio and video for making further videos?
See, for all the contents that we have on NDLI, the copyright rules, the printing or copying them, these are all determined by the source organization. As we mentioned, each of these, none of these are NDLI's properties. They have shared, and generally they are all copyright free. So if you, whenever you get into an item, check on that item itself or that source itself will tell you whether you can copy it, whether you can print. Generally, it is downloadable and printed. You can do print as well. But whether you can make copies or whether you can use them in other publications, all that will be explained there itself by the source organization. So each of these items are all dictated or decided by the source that is created that organization and that particular item. There's no one hard and fast rule across all contents, across all sources.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question goes from Mr. Vinash Tripathi. He's asking that our school has applied for NDLI club registration about 20 days ago. So we didn't get the registration certificate. He's asking how much time will it take? Generally, it takes. Hello.
Yes, Ms. Roy, may I request you to take this question
Okay.
because I am not very involved with the clubs myself. Yeah.
Okay. The club registration. Can you tell me whom he has sent the application request to?
Mr. Vinash Tripathi, he has said that our school is applied for NDLI club registration about 20 days ago. We didn't get the registration certificate. I think Mr. Tripathi should personally contact you about
Yes, I think.
other details,
Yes,
about
Yes.
that's
about
right.
various
Yeah.
details.
Yes.
Okay,
Let's
because you
do
need
that.
some basic data to track his
Yes.
registration, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So the next question is from Mr. Partho Sarathi Chaudhary is asking, is it possible to get free download options of any books from NDLI?
Yes. Actually, a lot of these books are downloadable as PDFs. All right. So all the books that we talked about as being open access or being nationally licensed, these are all available for download.
Okay. So the next question goes from Mr. Tintin Mukherjee, I think. Can NDLI be used by schools? Do they have to pay any subscription?
No, NDLI is definitely targeted at students, and therefore all students, all schools are most welcome to use it. There's absolutely no fees associated with the use of NDLI. It is free access, open access to everyone. So they're most welcome to use it.
And so the last question goes from Mr. Judhishthira Muduli. He is asking, is special planning of Government of India for implementation of digitization of the state libraries for each and every state of India?
So, I mean, is it a question that whether Government of India has such a plan?
Yeah, about digitizing the state libraries in different states.
I mean, I guess we are not the right persons to answer that. But I know there are several state libraries. For example, Worcester State Library. They already have a digital library which they have shared with us as well. But whether all the states have a state library which is digitized and all, I am afraid I don't think we are not the right persons to answer that.
Okay. There is another question going, last one, which is, sir, how can I digitize my library books through NDLI? It's from Newton Kabiraj. He's asking, how can he digitize his library books through NDLI? And I think he wants out there. Is it possible?
No, what does he mean by how can I digitize my library books? I mean, he wants to make soft copies out of the physical books that he has in his library?
I think so, and he wants to deposit it at NDLI, probably.
No.
Okay. No.
As I've mentioned already, the books that they have bought as a library, okay, they have actually spent, they have paid money for that, and so that's some kind of a contract between the library and the seller. So he cannot put it, just digitize it or scan it and put it up on an NDLI. Okay, I think this is something everybody needs to understand. We cannot just go scan all the books in a library and put them up NDLI. That's a major violation of copyright. If they have digital materials that they have prepared, it can be school, it can be course materials, teaching the teachers, course materials that they use, presentations that they use, question papers of the school, or are there any other research material that an institute has created. Those are the ones which are their original contribution. They are the ones that can be integrated with NDLI.
Uploaded to NDLI.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful interactive session and the wonderful lecture that you have provided today. We have come to the end of the this webinar today towards the end, and I really thank you both from all the faculty members and the fraternities of Vijayagarh Jyotish Rai College for this wonderful and informative talk. So next, I would request Dr. Prosenjit Das, Joint Coordinator of IQAC Vijayagarh Jyotish Rai College, to deliver the vote of thanks. Dr. Das, it's over to you.
Thanks, Shilajit. This is Dr. Prosenjit Das, Internal Quality Assurance Cell Joint Coordinator, Vijayagarh Jyotish Rai College. On behalf of the IQAC and Department of Library, I would like to congratulate our speakers for today's webinar, Sujata Roy Madam and Mr. Anirban Sharma, for sparing a few hours from their busy schedule to be with us and discussing many informations about the uses of NDLI, how we can use that in this time, how can we get the resources from our home. That was outstanding. The presentation was outstanding. We come to know about many things about NDLI, and it is a great initiative, I must say. Next, thanks definitely we will go to our principal madam for encouraging us to organize such webinars time to time, and thanks to Shilajit Borua, Dr. Shilajit Borua, for anchoring this webinar. And no word is enough for Sudipta, the librarian of our college, who has planned this whole thing. And I must congratulate the audience also, as they actively participated and asked many questions to the speakers, and speakers have responded to most of their questions, and so this was an outstanding webinar in that respect. Feedback link is already given in the YouTube chat box. Participants can avail that only after this webinar is over. And once again, I would like to congratulate the participants as well as the speakers for this wonderful session. Thanks to all. Now it's over to Shilajit.
Thank you, Dr. Das, for your wonderful vote of thanks. So we have come to the end of today's webinar. It has been a wonderful about 1.5 hours of informations we have received from eminent personalities from NDLI. I would like to thank both of our resource person in this regard. And lastly, next I would like to thank our librarian, Ms. Sudipta Shi, for her wonderful effort. And lastly, I would like to thank all of you for your patient hearing. Don't forget to drop your feedback in the link provided. And once again, thank you all. And we have come to the end of the session.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So before we close, Dr. Borua, I would also like to mention that both of us are so pleased to be here today,
Delighted, yes.
talking about NDLI to all of you. And we are always available anytime, even after this. Anytime anybody has a query or whatever, please feel free to reach out to us. And this presentation will be shared, that Anirban has mentioned already. It will be shared with all of you after this session. So you will have access to also the information that was shared with you today. But thank you very much for having us here with you today.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now the session is over.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.